You hear the word sustainability literally everywhere, right? It's on our coffee cups, it's in company reports, it's all over the news. But what does it actually mean? It feels like it's become this giant kind of vague buzzword. Well, today we are going to change that. We're going to cut through all the noise and demystify what sustainability really is.
So, let's start with the big question. Is it just a feel-good marketing term, or is there something real, something solid behind it? That's what we're going to unpack. We'll get to the real definition, look at its global goals, and, this is the important part, figure out how to spot the difference between genuine change and just clever marketing.
All right, so to get past all that marketing hype, our first stop is to go back in time, back to the moment this whole idea was first given a clear, powerful definition.
And here it is. This is the core idea, and it comes from a landmark UN report way back in 1987. It's so simple, but it is incredibly powerful. It's all about balance, taking what we need to live well now without wrecking the ability of our kids and grandkids to do the same thing. It's really just a principle of fairness between generations.
Now that core idea breaks down into three essential parts, and honestly the best way to think about it is like a three-legged stool. You've got planet, people, and profit. Now planet, that's the environmental stuff we all think of first, but then there's people, which is all about social equity, things like fair wages and community well-being. And finally, profit, which is about building businesses that are actually resilient and can last. See, if you kick out any one of those legs, the whole stool just topples over. For something to be truly sustainable, all three have to work together, in harmony.
Okay, so we have this foundational idea. The next logical question is, how on earth do you get the entire world to agree on how to put it into practice? Well, that's where the world's shared blueprint comes in.
This is it, the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. You can think of it as humanity's global to-do list, which every single member state adopted back in 2015. They cover the whole shebang, from ending poverty and hunger to climate action and building strong institutions. And what they really show you is just how interconnected everything is. You realize pretty quickly you can't solve one of these problems without affecting all the others.
Okay, so we have the ideal definition, we have the global game plan, but then we go to the store and things get complicated. How do we navigate all the marketing claims and figure out what's actually genuine?
We have to talk about this term greenwashing. This is what happens when a company spends way more time and money marketing itself as green than it does on actually minimizing its environmental impact. It just creates a ton of confusion and, honestly, it undermines the businesses that are really trying to do the right thing.
And a big reason greenwashing works so well is because of this super common myth. People think sustainability is just about recycling or planting trees. But think about it. A product might be made from recycled materials, which is great. That checks the planet box. But what if it was made in a factory with unsafe working conditions? Well, then it totally fails the people pillar. This is why you have to look at the whole picture. Something is only truly sustainable if it passes the test on all three pillars.
So here are some classic red flags to watch out for. Terms like eco-friendly or 100% natural. They sound great, but they have no real legal definition. They don't mean much without specific proof. Even a term like carbon neutral can be really tricky if a company is just buying up some cheap, unverified carbon offsets instead of actually cutting their own emissions.
So how do you fight back against this stuff? Well, first, look for credible third-party certifications like Fair Trade or B Corp. These guys have really rigorous standards. Second, try to think about the whole life cycle of the product, from where the raw materials were sourced all the way to how you're going to get rid of it. And finally, do a quick search on the company itself. Are they transparent about how they do business? Because genuine sustainability is always backed up by data, not just vague feel-good claims.
And I know, that idea of fighting back can feel a little overwhelming. But this is where it gets personal, because it turns out our collective, individual choices have enormous power to drive real change.
Just take the fast fashion industry, for example. It's literally built on a model of making huge amounts of cheap clothes that are designed to be thrown away after just a few wears. And the numbers behind it, they're just staggering.
Every single year, the fashion industry generates 92 million tons of textile waste. I mean, that is just a mind-boggling amount of clothing ending up in landfills. And it's a direct result of this massive overproduction.
And the reason for all of this incredible waste is just as shocking. On average, a piece of clothing today is worn only 7 times before it gets tossed. 7. That is the perfect definition of that old take, make, dispose culture that we so desperately need to move away from.
But here's the good news. Small shifts in our own habits can create a huge ripple effect. Choosing one quality item that's going to last for years instead of 5 cheap ones. Switching to LED bulbs. Just being more mindful of food waste. These individual actions send a really powerful signal to the market about what we, the consumers, actually value.
So let's zoom back out from our individual choices to the bigger systems. How do we redesign our entire economy so that it's sustainable by default?
For the last century or so, we've basically been running on this linear model. We take resources from the earth, we make things, and then we just throw them away when we're done with them. It is inherently wasteful, and it's finite. You just can't keep doing that forever on a planet with limited resources.
The alternative is what's called a circular economy, where waste is designed out of the system from the very beginning. Products are made to be durable, repairable, and reusable. Then, at the end of their life, their materials are recovered and fed right back into the system. It's just like in nature, where absolutely nothing is wasted.
And if you're thinking, wow, this big transition sounds expensive, just consider this. The estimated global economic benefit of achieving these sustainable goals is a staggering $26 trillion. This proves that sustainability isn't just an environmental or a social duty. It's one of the greatest economic opportunities of our entire lifetime. So as you can see, sustainability is so much more than a buzzword. It's a blueprint for a future that's environmentally sound, socially just, and economically prosperous. It's going to require a shift in how we think about everything, from our personal habits all the way up to our global economic systems, which really just leaves us with one final question to think about. What role will you play